October 1918. A young man sits down to breakfast, perfectly well. By noon, he is coughing. By evening, his skin has turned a strange, dusky blue as his lungs slowly fill with fluid. By the next morning, he is dead. He is 28 years old. He was the strongest, healthiest person in that house. And that, as impossible as it sounds, is exactly why the thing that killed him chose him. This was the great influenza of 1918. In about 2 years, it killed somewhere around 50 million people worldwide, more than the entire First World War that was ending at the same time. In the United States alone, it took roughly 675,000 lives. But the number is not the horror. This is the horror. Every plague humanity had ever known took the weak and the old and the very young. This one broke that rule. It reached past the elderly, past the infants, and it went for the people in the absolute prime of their lives, the 20, 30, and 40-year-olds, the parents, the soldiers, the strong. For a while, a healthy adult was more likely to die of it than their own grandmother. And it did something stranger still, something scientists are only now beginning to unravel in the DNA. It did not move through families evenly. It tore some bloodlines out by the roots, parents and children in a single week, while it stepped quietly around the family next door, breathing the very same air. Why? Hold on to that question, because the answer, when we finally reach it, may be sitting in your own genes right now. Here is what is certain. If you are alive today, then somewhere in your family tree, in the terrible autumn of 1918, someone survived this. Someone in your line stood in the path of one of the deadliest events in all of human history, and lived, or you would not be here. So the question this video answers is this: how close did it come? We are counting down 10 names the 1918 flu reached. Famous names, names you know. Some it took, some it spared. And at the very end, exactly how you can find out, tonight, what this thing did to your own family. Was yours a survivor? Let's find out. One thing before we begin, 5 seconds, and it matters. If the idea that this reached into your own family tree is what pulled you in, subscribe. Finding the moment's history buried inside ordinary families, the ones that turn out to be yours, is the entire reason this channel exists, and there's a new one every week. Alright, now, how it actually killed. To understand why this flu is different from every flu you've ever had, you have to understand the shape of who it killed. Normally, if you chart flu deaths by age, you get a U. Lots of deaths in the very young, lots in the very old, and a deep, safe valley in the middle where healthy adults sit. In 1918, that valley filled up. Scientists call it the W-shaped curve, and that new, unnatural third peak, rising right in the middle, is made of young adults. For people between 15 and 34, the death rate was more than 20 times higher than a normal year. Nearly half of everyone the 1918 flu killed was a healthy adult between 20 and 40. And the leading explanation for why is genuinely chilling. It's called a cytokine storm. In a young, powerful immune system, the virus provoked an overreaction so violent that the body essentially attacked its own lungs, flooding them with fluid until the person drowned on dry land in a matter of hours. The stronger your immune system, the harder it turned against you. The flu didn't overpower the young and healthy. It tricked their own strength into killing them. And it moved at a speed that broke the living. It came in waves across that autumn. And when the worst wave hit a city, it hit like a bomb going off in slow motion. Hospitals overflowed into schoolhouses and armories. Doctors and nurses fell sick faster than they could be replaced. In the hardest hit cities, the coffins ran out. And then the coffin makers ran out. And bodies were stacked in morgues and buried in long trenches dug by steam shovel. Whole towns simply went silent, shops shuttered, streets emptied, and the only sound left was the creak of the carts coming to collect the dead. In a matter of weeks, an ordinary American autumn turned into something out of the Middle Ages. Picture what that did to a family. It didn't take the frail grandfather in the corner. It took the mother and father in their 30s and left the children. In town after town, the 1918 flu manufactured orphans by the hundreds of thousands, and it manufactured something else the record keepers never counted: family trees that simply snapped. A line that had run for centuries, ending in a single week, in a single house. Keep that in mind through this whole countdown, because it's the thread underneath all 10 names. DNA can tell you your risk of disease today, but it cannot tell you who your family lost in 1918. Only the records can do that, and we'll get to exactly how you find them. Now, number 10. At number 10, Lockwood. In 1918, Harold Lockwood was one of the biggest movie stars in America, a matinee idol, the kind of face plastered across every theater in the country. He was 31 years old, at the very peak of his fame, when the flu caught him in October of that year. Within days, one of the most famous men in America was dead. Lockwood is remembered, quietly, as one of Hollywood's first flu deaths, a reminder that fame, money, youth, none of it bought a single day of protection. The virus did not care whose face was on the poster. Lockwood is a solid, recognizable American surname, and the man who carried it into the fall of 1918 was living proof of the one rule this pandemic actually followed. It took the young and the strong first. Number 9. Number 9, Schiele. And I'm putting this one here because it is the whole tragedy of 1918 compressed into a single house. Egon Schiele was a brilliant young Austrian artist, 28 years old, just beginning to be recognized as a genius. In the autumn of 1918, his wife Edith was 6 months pregnant with their first child. Then the flu came into their home. Edith died first. And in the 3 days between her death and his own, the story goes that Egon, sick, dying himself, sat and drew her. 3 days later, he was gone too. A husband, a wife, and an unborn child, an entire young family, and everything it would ever have become, erased inside a single week. Multiply that one house by tens of millions, and you have 1,918. Schiele's name isn't common, but his story is the most honest thing on this list, because it is exactly what happened, anonymously, to countless ordinary families whose names were very common indeed, and whose deaths made no headlines at all. Number 8. Number 8, Weber. Max Weber was one of the most important thinkers of the modern age, a founding mind of sociology, a man whose ideas still shape how we understand society, work, and power a century later. In June of 1920, as the pandemic gave its final, lingering blows, he came down with the flu. It turned to pneumonia, and one of the great minds of the 20th century was simply switched off. Weber is an extremely common surname, carried by hundreds of thousands of families across America and the German-speaking world. The lesson of his death is a quiet one. The 1918 flu didn't only take lives, it took what those lives would have thought, and built, and discovered. We will never know what the world lost in the ideas that died in those lungs. Number 7. Number 7, Sykes. And this one has a genuinely eerie afterlife. Sir Mark Sykes was a British diplomat, the Sykes half of the Sykes-Picot Agreement, the secret deal that carved up the modern Middle East. He died of the 1918 flu in February 1919, at just 39. But here is the strange part. Because Sykes was buried in a sealed lead coffin, his body was unusually well preserved, and in 2008, 90 years later, scientists received permission to reopen his grave, hoping his corpse still held living traces of the 1918 virus itself, so they could study the thing that killed him and 50 million others. A man who helped redraw the map of the world, dug up a century later, so the plague inside him could finally give up its secrets. Sykes is a common surname across the British Isles and beyond, and the man who carried it didn't just die of the 1918 flu. He became, quite literally, a witness to it, reaching across 100 years. Number 6, and here the story turns, because these next names survived. Because so far, the flu has been winning. But it did not take everyone it reached. Some of the most consequential people of the entire 20th century stood in its path and walked away. And what they did with the lives it spared changed the world. If you're finding this as gripping as I am, take 1 second and subscribe. This is exactly the kind of buried history, the kind that turns out to touch your own family, that we uncover here every single week. Now, number 6. Number 6, Munch. Edvard Munch is the man who painted the Scream, probably the most famous image of human dread ever made. In 1919, the flu came for him too, but Munch survived, and being Munch, he did something extraordinary with it. He sat in front of a mirror, gaunt and hollow-eyed and wrapped in a blanket, and he painted himself in the grip of the disease. Self-portrait with the Spanish flu. One of the only times in history a great artist looked the 1918 pandemic directly in the face and painted what it felt like from the inside. Munch carried his name out of 1918 alive and gave us a window into it that no death record ever could. Number 5. Gandhi. We think of the 1918 flu as an American and European story, but its true center of death was India, where it may have killed 12 to 18 million people, more than any other country on earth. And in the middle of that catastrophe, a not yet famous lawyer named Mohandas Gandhi fell gravely ill with it. He very nearly died. He didn't. He recovered, and went on, in the decades that followed, to lead the movement that freed a fifth of humanity from an empire. Sit with that counterfactual for a second. The 1918 flu came within an inch of erasing Gandhi before the world had ever heard his name. History, as we know it, survived by a thread in a sickbed in India. Number 4. Roosevelt. In the autumn of 1918, a rising young American politician named Franklin Delano Roosevelt was sailing home from Europe when the flu swept through his ship. He was carried off it on a stretcher, gravely ill, so sick that his recovery was genuinely in doubt. He recovered, and that man, the one the 1918 flu nearly killed on a stretcher, went on to become the only president elected 4 times, the president who would lead the United States through the Great Depression and the Second World War. Roosevelt is a recognizable American name, but the point is bigger than one family. Twice now on this list: Gandhi, Roosevelt. The entire 20th century has hung on whether one person's lungs held out for one more night. Number 3. Trump. In 1918, a man named Frederick Trump, a German immigrant who had made his fortune out west, was walking down a street in New York with his son when he suddenly felt ill. He was dead within a day or two. He was 49 years old. The 1918 flu had killed him. But his line did not end. His young son survived, grew up, built a real estate empire, and had a son of his own, who would one day become president of the United States. The grandfather struck down by the 1918 flu, the grandson in the White House. One ordinary family, one flu death, and a bloodline that ran straight from a New York sidewalk in 1918 to the most powerful office on earth. That is the whole reason we do these countdowns. The flu did not just take people, it bent the future, killing some lines and sparing others, and you never know where a spared one leads. Number 2. Number 2 doesn't have a famous face. Number 2 is your family. Because for every Trump or Roosevelt or Schiele whose name we remember, there were tens of millions of ordinary people, the Millers, the Johnsons, the Andersons, the Garcias, the O'Briens, who lived and died in that autumn and left no headline at all. A young mother in a tenement, a father of 5 on a farm, a pair of newlyweds, names as common as yours, gone in a week, remembered now only by a single line in a dusty death ledger, if they were remembered at all. If you carry a common American surname, and most of us do, then this is the number you belong to. Somewhere in the fall of 1918, a person with your last name stood where that young man at breakfast stood, and the only reason you exist is that enough of your line survived to carry the name forward to you. Number 2 is not a celebrity. Number 2 is the reason you're here. Number 1. Wilson. And this may be the most consequential flu case in all of human history. In the spring of 1919, at the Paris Peace Conference, the meeting that would write the terms ending the First World War, President Woodrow Wilson suddenly collapsed with a raging fever, drenched in sweat, confused, hallucinating. It was the flu, and here is where a common surname brushes up against the fate of the entire world. Wilson had gone to Paris fighting for a gentle, forgiving peace with Germany. He fell ill in the middle of the negotiations. And a number of historians argue that the Wilson who staggered back to the table afterward was a changed, diminished man, that he suddenly caved, and let a far harsher, more punishing treaty be forced on Germany. That treaty, the Treaty of Versailles, is widely seen as one of the seeds of German resentment that grew, 20 years later, into the Second World War. We can't prove it. History doesn't run controlled experiments. But some serious scholars genuinely believe that the 1918 flu, striking one man named Wilson at one table in Paris, may have helped bend the entire 20th century toward its greatest catastrophe: a common surname, a sickbed, and possibly the shape of the modern world. Now, remember the question I asked you at the very beginning. Why did this flu tear through some bloodlines and step around others in the very same town? For 100 years, the easy answer was luck, but it may be more than luck. In 2008, researchers publishing in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences did something clever. They took the extraordinarily detailed genealogical records of Iceland, a country that tracks its family trees like almost nowhere else on Earth, and they mapped exactly who died in the 1918 flu. And they found that the deaths clustered within families more tightly than shared exposure alone could explain. In plain terms, if the flu killed one member of a family, the others were more likely to die too, even accounting for the fact that they lived together. That points to something inherited, something in the genes. It suggests that some bloodlines carried a hidden vulnerability to this specific virus, and others, a hidden resistance, which means the survival of your family line in 1918 may not have been pure chance. Your ancestors may have carried something in their blood that helped them live, and then passed it, quietly, all the way down to you. Think about what that would mean. The reason you are sitting here, watching this, may not be luck at all. It may be that 100 years ago, when this thing swept through your family's town and emptied the houses on either side, the people you descend from carried some small, invisible edge, a quirk of the immune system, written into a single gene, that let them draw one more breath, and then one more, until the wave finally passed them by. And if they did carry it, then so, in all likelihood, do you. Survival itself, folded into your DNA, and handed down through 4 generations, without one single person in that chain ever knowing it was there. Now the honest part, because it matters. Sharing a surname with anyone on this list does not mean you descend from them. Surnames are common, and a Wilson or a Weber can have no relation to another at all. And a DNA test cannot reach back and tell you which of your specific ancestors caught the 1918 flu, or died of it, or survived it. Anyone who tells you it can is selling you something. The flu's mark on your family is real, but it lives in the records, not in a pie chart. So here is how you actually find it, tonight, for free. Start with the death records for 1918 and 1919 on Family Search, which is completely free. When you pull them for your family's town, the flu is unmistakable. A sudden, dense wall of deaths in a single autumn season, clustered in weeks, so many of them young adults. Then open the 1920 census and look closely. A household that had 2 parents in 1910 and now has only 1, or children living with grandparents or an aunt. That gap is often exactly where the 1918 flu reached into your family. And finally, the local newspaper obituaries from October and November of 1918, many now digitized, where the ordinary dead finally get their names back. You put your family's names in, you look at the autumn of 1918, and you find out what it did to you. 100 years ago, an invisible thing killed 50 million people, and it did it by turning the young and the strong against themselves. It reached into the most famous bloodlines in the world, a president's grandfather, a future president on a stretcher, Gandhi in a sickbed, and it reached, in exactly the same way, into millions of ordinary families with names just like yours. And your family stood in its path, and enough of them lived. That's not nothing. That's the reason you're here to watch this. So tell me, did your family lose someone in 1918, or do you not know yet? Comment it below. Then go pull the records tonight and tell us what you find. Some of you are going to discover a story your family stopped telling 100 years ago. And subscribe, because next time we're counting down another set of surnames history nearly erased. And one of them might be yours too.